Hello, welcome to Smarkets Politics Podcast. I'm Matthew Shaddick, and I'm joined as always by election forecaster extraordinaire Patrick Flynn. And this week we're going to be talking about the midterms, US midterms, only a few days away. And we are very lucky to have a special guest actually from America, the US's favourite political betting commentator, Alex Keendawg from Spangled Gamblers. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Shads. I love being on your home court here today. Congratulations on getting this pod going. I've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, well, it's great you could join us. Let's just get straight into it. What's your sort of meta feeling about the midterms? Are you mostly backing Dems, Republicans, picking off individual races? How do you see it overall?
So I think, and we've discussed this ad nauseum on our podcast, but I think it's a Republican year. I think you probably need a good reason to be backing Democrats at this point. Now, in the U.S., the markets, I think, are way overpricing Republican wins in all of the places that you've probably been talking about and tracking. So as a bettor, it's kind of a difficult moment for me because I don't want to be caught, on the wrong side of the wave, but I also don't want to be paying the kind of prices that most of our exchanges over here are asking to be backing Republicans. So it's a very strange moment. I'm just hoping that maybe the night before the election, there's a little bit of a reset on pricing because I got a lot of money that's not doing anything right now.
So, I mean, just on the main, I suppose the biggest volume market is just control of the Senate. Current price at Smarkets, which I think are quite similar to the US prices, 69% Republican control of the Senate. Do you feel strongly one way or the other about that?
Maybe a little high, but, only by inches. Our markets are over 70 now. I'm not buying at that price, but I do think it would be foolish to think that this is the Democrats' race to win this year. There's just too many winds blowing the wrong way.
Patrick, you tweeted something out about this earlier. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm probably about 60-40, same as Alex. Slightly higher than the poll-based focusing models, but not quite as high as the markets. I've been a little bit intrigued by the kind of idea that the betting markets are picking up on swings before the poll-based forecasters do. Like we discussed this on the last episode, but I did a bit more research into it over the last week, and it turns out you can best model 538's probability of the Democrats holding the Senate, not by looking at the betting markets on the same day, but looking at what they were saying 5 days ago. So it's quite interesting, that kind of disparity. I'm not sure whether that is just a coincidence, but if the theory is true, you'd expect 538's forecast to not really change that much over the next week because the betting markets haven't really moved over the last few days. But the economists will probably move a bit more in the Republicans' favor, I think.
Alex, have you been involved in the pile on Nate Silver at all recently?
I love to throw rotten tomatoes at Nate Silver because he's Nate Silver and, he's the king. I really appreciate the work he does. I'm going to really enjoy when we smoke him in this election and sort of prove our mettle as forecasters. But I will still always respect Nate Silver. Like, I couldn't do what I do. I don't know if any of us could do what we do if it wasn't for some of the information he provides. So officially, yeah, that bro's going down. But unofficially, come on, he's Nate. We got to respect him.
All right, well, what about any individual Senate races? I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, Alex, but there's been quite a lot of politics going on in the UK recently, so I haven't had that much time to look in depth at every single race. Any in particular you've got a big position on or you're interested in still betting on?
So here's what I'm thinking about right now. I don't have a lot of really spicy thoughts, and I told you that I'm really, really scared by how expensive it is to back Republicans at this point. So I think I'm liking to just pretend this race in Georgia between Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. I'm liking thinking of that as a what do you call it? A runoff race. So I'd rather buy in like the 30%-ish range that this goes to a runoff than spend, say, 60 to 65 cents a share to back a kind of questionable Republican candidate in a Republican wave. So I'm sort of liking that play. I think that if polls are showing Republicans maybe having an advantage or facing kind of even odds, you can probably assume that means they're going to win. So the only overpriced Republican that I'm really on right now is Adam Laxalt in Nevada. I have been backing Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania, but he's still I like to say all polls are fake. Obviously, not all polls are fake, but it really has surprised me that he has not had like any meaningful polls that show him ahead in that race. At this point, it is kind of concerning to me. But also at this point, who really cares? We're so far down the line. We should like. Are we really going to learn anything between now and election day? Like, we just know we're going to be surprised in some places, and in other places we aren't. So your guess is as good as mine on some of these. It's just a pricing play at this point.
Yeah, Pennsylvania's the one I've actually paid a bit of attention to. I don't think I've had a bet yet. Current price is 64% Republican. I mean, I guess I'm a bit like you. I'm kind of hoping the market will get even more pro-Republican, and then perhaps I'll have a bet on Fetterman nearer the off. But just explain to people who haven't been following this. I mean, John Fetterman's health seems to be the main issue there, right?
Yeah. So John Fetterman is like a 6'5" ogre of a Bernie bro. He had a brutal stroke this summer, and that's not really a good thing when you're in a tight race in a state that nominally on paper favors Republicans by a little bit. So Dr. Oz, TV star here in the States, a heart surgeon, a university athlete at Harvard. I mean, you can't really build a thicker, more qualified resume for being good on the stump than Dr. Oz has really been closing the gap after a slow start. So I think probably in the States, that's the race people are talking about the most right now, and maybe the most important, just given, Pennsylvania has been a state that's ping-ponged back and forth between Republicans and Democrats since, I don't know, like the time that the Duke of York was marching his army around there in 1780, whatever. So it's just a fascinating state for our nation.
Anything you've been paying particular attention to, Patrick?
To be honest, not really. I kind of got caught on the wrong side of that Pennsylvania market because I was backing Fetterman quite early, well, relatively early, like in September. So I'm just hoping that the red wave isn't quite as big.
Yeah, it's been a sort of amazing test case for polls versus markets, because the betting markets had Oz ahead, even though he was behind in, I think, every single poll. Alex, is that right? Until quite recently.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally he gets a Trafalgar. How do you say it? Trafalgar. There. Did I say that right? That's a Trafalgar Square in London. Anyway, Trafalgar is a pollster that usually favors Republicans and has favored Oz, but really no one else.
I think you had the guy behind that on your podcast quite recently. Didn't you, Alex? That was quite a good episode.
Yeah. No,
what did you think of him?
Cahaley? Their record isn't extensive. I'm kind of inclined to take him seriously, though. Grudgingly, I think a lot of people in the industry take him seriously, too. So I take what he does. Let me just say it emphatically. I take his polling seriously. I understand why people have doubts about it, but all of these things are just single data points for us to consider as we sort of build our own personal forecasts. I mean, do you have a philosophy about this?
Well, I guess I've been quite skeptical of the Republican-leaning pollsters in recent cycles, but you can't really get away from the fact that they were a lot closer than most people, and certainly the last presidential election and the Senate races in 2020.
Yeah. Do you
any government races, Alex, that we should be looking at that are fun?
Well, okay, I want to ask you guys about this because I'm here, I'm in the States, I spend too much time thinking about it. Do you guys spend any time thinking about the Southwest? Those states in the desert, Nevada, Arizona. I mean, I'm actually kind of baffled by the governor's races, especially in Arizona, where Carrie Lake, who seems to be auditioning for like a horror movie role, the MAGA, killer or something like that, is apparently way ahead in polls of her Democratic opponent. But at the same time, Blake Masters, is the Republican in the Senate side, is nowhere to be found. And I can't make sense of that. I mean, do you have a theory about what is going on?
Well, funny enough, the BBC had 10 o'clock news last night had a report from Arizona with Kerry Lake, essentially portraying her as a Trumpist nutcase. And it was astonishing that she would have people like this would have any chance to win, was the BBC's angle. I can't pretend I've followed it any more closely than that.
Yeah. Was that the one where there was that viral video that went around of the candidates for governor?
I think Carrie Lake has had a lot of viral videos of her because it's not that she says things that are controversial. It's that she says them with such certainty and such clarity. And I mean, it's like, don't read into this too much, but when like Vladimir Putin says something ridiculous, but he says it with such confidence and certainty, you're like, did he really just say that? Like, Kerry Lake has that thing where it's just like so sincere and so down the barrel that you can't believe what you just heard, and then you start to kind of believe it because of the way she delivers the words. She's a very unique candidate, and it seems like it's working right now.
I guess the people that we sort of know best over here are like Beto O'Rourke in Texas, Stacey Abrams in Georgia, but it looks like they're both pretty much toast, right? I mean, they're both trading in single figures.
Yeah, that's free money. I think that's free money. I think Tim Ryan in Ohio. J.D. Vance hasn't polled especially well, but Ohio polls have a pretty long track record of undercounting Republicans. I think that's a free money bet. Take it to the bank. Ron Johnson in Wisconsin, that's in the 80s in U.S. markets. Again, free money bet. Put it in your pocket. I'm a little bit skeptical right now. It's popular to be backing Republicans in states that would be unthinkable for them to win, like Washington and the Northwest, and of course New York, which everyone in the British Isles knows. I'm very skeptical of that. My partner Pratik Chogli loves betting Republicans in New York. You can ask him why. But I think right now, I'm mostly just kind of waiting to hope we get a reset on some of these prices because I'm on the outside looking in.
Yeah, Patrick, there's not much happening in the betting for House control, is there?
No, not really. That kind of just looks like a bit of one-way traffic. Like even it's become so Republican that now the House and Senate control market is effectively just a market on whether the Republicans will win the Senate, because it's like, I think 67% they'll win both and 68% they'll win the Senate. So it's no different, really.
Let me ask you something, Alex.
Yeah.
If the Republicans do control the House, which looks very likely, Smarkets have got a market on whether Biden will be impeached during his first term. Are they going to go ahead and do that for the hell of it, or is that possible?
I love that you're asking this because just this morning I sold my position on that bet. Now, I'm a little bit of a weenie and I can be a little bit risk averse. I don't think it's a bad bet, to be honest. Like, what is it? In the U.S., that bet's around like 33 cents or something. What do you guys have it at?
25, 26 to back yes.
I think that's a good buy, to be honest. Talk
us through the thinking of Republicans there.
Well, if you know that, I used to work in the House of Representatives, and if you even casually observe the House, it is like the cafeteria of a high school. It's drama, cliques, food fights, bullies, nerds. I mean, it's just total chaos. And if you look at Republican majorities in particular, they have really, really struggled to kind of keep a leash on the more radical, more kind of hardline conservatives going back years. This is a problem that the Democrats have had, since 2018. It is a problem that the Republicans have had for more than a decade. So I think, obviously, Kevin McCarthy, the likely Republican Speaker of the House, he's already kind of made some concessions to try and buy votes from the kind of right-wing constituency. He's befriended and brought into the tent people who, were the ones who sabotaged John Boehner and Paul Ryan, the last two Republican speakers of the House, for, being like beta cook, like liberal, whatever that is. So, I mean, at some point, he's going to have to throw these guys a bone. At some point, he's going to have to buy off their votes. And honestly, that they're going to be convening committees about Hunter Biden's laptop, whatever dealings Joe Biden's family has had with China or Ukraine or something like that. I mean, so there's going to be committee reports. There's going to be testimony, i.e. there's going to be targets to shoot an impeachment charge at. So at 25 cents, yeah, I would take that bet. I think that's a good one. Would I hold it all the way? Maybe not. But that hearing and that report and that, 30 members of the Freedom Caucus are going to be demanding the impeachment. So you'll probably get a spike at some point, I would think. I mean, I don't know. That was a lot of noise from me.
I guess even day after the midterms, if they've won a majority in the House, that'll be on the news when it's straight away, the possibility of this happening, and maybe that will just force the price up without anything else having to happen for you.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable assumption.
Yeah.
So while we've got you on, Alex, UK viewers might not know this, but it seems like legalized, regulated political betting in the US could be all over very soon. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, we say that we're kind of a prudish country. The Puritans from your fine land were some of our original settlers at Plymouth Rock, and their traditions of being skeptical of gambling and drinking and many of the things that are fun in life are very much still a part of our legal practices and constitutions here. So political betting operates on a very, very thin line in the United States, and the Biden administration has made efforts to withdraw what legal cover our exchanges do have to exist. So Predict It operates under one legal structure. The Biden administration has said we want to get rid of that. They're in court defending their right to operate right now. Some other exchanges who use different legal faculties are also kind of fighting for their life with different bureaucracies. But it's certainly not a rosy moment in the history of political betting and event trading in the United States, and there's ample reason to be pessimistic about what the near term will look like.
And what are the alternatives for people in the US if Kalshi and Predict It, the ones we're sort of talking about, if they're both disallowed from taking these sorts of action? Is there any other options for you guys?
I think one would be to move to London and start hanging out with you guys in this Smarkets
That's the best
office.
option, yeah.
The other would be, can you get your boy Trost to maybe set up some U.S. operations? Like, if Trost can't do it, no one can.
We do have a license in a couple of US states, but unfortunately those states don't allow sportsbooks to take political bets just yet. So maybe that's where the next battle will be for you guys, I guess, trying to get the individual states to license it. Oh, no, man, I guess there might be some pressure to lead up to the 2024 presidential election.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously the options aren't great. A lot of traders find loopholes to use exchanges overseas. I won't really detail that for all of our sake. There are people who trade on crypto-denominated exchanges, so there is an offshore industry. MyBookie and sort of sketchy Puerto Rican, fake gambling exchanges. So there will be an offshore betting market that draws from the United States. But I think as far as the robust community we have and like the benefits for forecasting and public, all the things we enjoy and all the things that we glean from these markets will be gone. If the Biden administration does what they have said they intend to do. So we hope that won't happen, but maybe that's just the world we're going to be living in.
In my previous job, the last midterms in 2018, we actually had somebody flying from Las Vegas with 150,000 sterling in cash, turning up at a betting shop, backing the Republicans to win a majority in the House that year. That was quite fun.
Was that, there's this one guy here who always makes a big show.
Don't mention his name.
Okay.
But you probably do know it.
Okay. Yeah.
Alex, thanks so much for joining us. That was great.
Thank you, Shads and Patrick. Nice to meet you. Look forward to collaborating again sometime soon. StarSpangledGamblers.com on all of your podcast delivery devices and on YouTube too. I'm Keendawg on Twitter at Keendawg. Got to get that self promo in. Star Spangled Gamblers, bro. And Shads, can't wait to have you back sometime.
Okay. Thanks everybody for tuning in. As ever, whichever way you're watching or listening, please like, subscribe, or register your approval in any way which you can. Good luck if you're betting on midterms, and we'll see you on the other side next week.